You're listening to the Why Boarding School podcast, broadcasting around the world. Join us as we promote independent boarding schools throughout the United States and Canada with our invited guests. Now, here's your host, Dr. Jeffrey Quebec.
Welcome to the Why Boarding School podcast. I'm Jeff Quebec, and today I'm joined by the Director of Admission at Episcopal High School in Alexandria, Virginia, Scott Conklin. Welcome, Scott. It's great to have you here today.
Thanks for having me, Jeff. Excited to be here.
Established by the Episcopal Diocese of Virginia, Episcopal High School was founded as an all-boys school in 1839. It was the first established high school in Virginia and was originally called the Howard School. The school became independent in 1923. Episcopal High School became coeducational when the first girls were enrolled in 1991. Scott, perhaps you can start by giving your audience a brief overview of the number of students at Episcopal High School, the grades you offer, where the students come from, etc.
Great. Yeah, happy to do that. So we have 440 students, co-ed, 50-50 boys and girls, representing about 30 different states across the U.S. and 20 different countries. We serve grades 9 through 12, and it's an all-boarding school. Every student at Episcopal High School lives on campus.
Very nice. And what's the academic curriculum like at Episcopal High School?
Yeah, so we have over 150 courses and about 75 honors and advanced level courses for our students. Students in this semester are typically taking 6 classes. There's the opportunity to take as many as 7. You have to get permission to do that, as that can be a little bit of a workload sometimes, making sure the students have a balanced curriculum. But it's a general curriculum that most high school students are taking. So they're your 5 core courses, so math, language, English, social studies, science, and then usually an elective in the arts and some other electives as well.
And Scott, can you talk a little bit about the academic support which is offered through the Conklin Academic Support Center at Episcopal?
Yeah, there's a number of different levels of support, academic support at EHS. The Conklin Alumni Academic Support Center is one of those. And so we have 3 academic support teachers that work in that space. Students are identified usually through the admissions process as maybe needing a little bit of additional support, especially in the 9th and 10th grade. And so students will typically use that resource during their free periods during the academic day. And it could be as something as simple as time management, organization, study skills, but it could also be help with the lab or a written assignment. So that's certainly a layer of support. We have office hours that our teachers are available to work with students. We also have some peer tutoring. So we have students that run our math tutoring program, language, and writing. So students can make appointments to meet with their peers and get some peer tutoring as well.
Very nice. And Scott, how about, can you share with our audience the offerings that are available sort of in the visual or performing arts areas?
Yeah, so we have a lot of classes and opportunities in the visual and performing arts. Ainsley Arts Center, which was built in 2003, is the center where all of our arts take place. And on the first floor, there's an art studio. So we'll have visiting artists that display their work in there, but we also will open up that to student artwork and some of our teachers as well, who are all professional artists or musicians. On the first floor of next to the exhibit, you'll have our photography studio, down the hall, drawing and painting studios. And then on the lower level, we have ceramics, instrumental music. We have a recording studio, which is really popular amongst our students. We have a black box theater and choir. So we have a lot of different options in the arts. And then upstairs in our main theater is called Pendleton Hall, is where a lot of our theatrical and musical performances will take place.
Very nice. So it seems like not only a lot of opportunities, but I was thinking it's really nice when you have your teachers who are also practicing artists themselves.
Yeah, and I'm sure I'll talk about location quite a bit in this conversation, but I think the arts benefits a lot from being near Washington, D.C., because we have certainly our teachers that are able to support our students, but the outside support that we have, students that play instruments that we may not have teachers that teach that instrument on campus, we're able to draw from the local community. The National Symphony played here a week ago for all of our students. And so we have opportunities to draw really impressive teachers from the local community too.
How cool is that? That's awesome. So are there any special signature programs that are offered at Episcopal High School?
Yeah, the one I'll talk about the most is what we call the McCain Ravenel Center for Intellectual and Moral Courage. And so that was started about 6 years ago at Episcopal High School. It's named after Senator McCain, who was a graduate of Episcopal High School in 1954. And when he was sick with cancer, the school approached him and wanted to name a center in his honor. And he said, of course, but I want you to use the name of a teacher that I had at Episcopal that really made an impact on me, and that was William Ravenel. So that's how it became the McCain Ravenel Center. And that really oversees a lot of our special programming at EHS. And so we take advantage of being just minutes outside of Washington. About once a week, our students are going into DC with their classes or in the local DC area. And so over the course of 3 or 4 years, a student's going to have 75 to 100 different experiences in Washington. And they're all connecting what they're learning in the classroom. So it could be a physics class visiting the Air and Space Museum, a governmental law class going to a Supreme Court hearing. Our freshman class a couple years ago spent an hour with the Supreme Court Justice Jackson at the Supreme Court. And so these are some really unique opportunities that our students have. So that's part of what the McCain Ravenel Center does is helping the teachers with the logistics of getting into Washington and providing those experiences for our students. Our seniors also do a month-long externship in the month of May. So we're about a month away from that kicking off, but they help coordinate those externship experiences for our students. They are working 35 to 40-hour weeks for the last 4 weeks of their senior year. And so the McCain Ravenel Center is an group of adults that help support the students in those ways. They also do some global programming, so immersion trips for our language students. And they also, about once a month, not quite once a month, but about 6 times a year, we have McCain Ravenel designated days, which is a full day devoted to special programming and different themes or topics. So, for example, in January, we usually do something themed around MLK celebration. And in November, we did some around civic dialogue and right around the time of the election, and brought in some guest speakers and had workshops for our students. So, but that's the McCain Ravenel Center really coordinates all of those special things.
With Washington, D.C. being right in your backyard, that seems like an unbelievable opportunity that you're using as an extension of the classroom.
It is, yeah. As I said, we're getting in there, at least once a week. We have 600 Washington experiences per year, and that's obviously not every student's doing all 600 of those, but they'll probably on average 25 to 30 a year that they're going in, and we feel like that the learning that happens outside of the classroom and using Washington, D.C. as a classroom is really an important part of the experience here.
Very impressive. And so how about athletics? Is every student required to play a sport each season? And also, what are some of the athletic offerings that Episcopal has?
Yeah, so students are required to be involved in an afternoon option Monday to Friday in the fall, winter, and spring. There are certainly a lot of athletic options. I think we offer almost every sport with the exception of some of the winter sports. So we don't have ice hockey or skiing or ice skating, but almost every other sport we offer. So students can choose to do a sport, but they can also there are some academic afternoon options, so science Olympiad, robotics, yearbook. They can manage a team. There's some smaller kind of fitness groups that they can be a part of. They can be involved in an externship also for a season. And there's also some music and art options too, theater and afternoon music and art. So those are all opportunities for our students. I think our school size of 440 students kind of serves the students well because we have opportunities to participate. We have a lot of different teams and clubs and programs, and we need involvement. So we're going to have athletes that are going to go play at the Division I level, but you can also, be on a team here without having a lot of experience coming into Episcopal. And there's also opportunities for students to be a part of the musical without really having a background in theater or music. And so it allows kids the opportunity to try new things, to explore. But the afternoon options is certainly something that we believe is important to the learning environment, and that students learn as much in those settings as they do in the classroom.
It's nice that there's an opportunity for everyone, it sounds like.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So Scott, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to continue our conversation talking about Episcopal High School in Alexandria, Virginia.
Great.
Do you have any questions or guests that you'd like to see on an upcoming Why Boarding School podcast? You can contact us directly through our website at whyboardingschool.com. Now, back to our show.
Welcome back to the Why Boarding School podcast. I'm Jeff Quebec, and today I'm joined by the Director of Admissions at Episcopal High School in Alexandria, Virginia, Scott Conklin. And Scott, as we continue our conversation, perhaps you can share with our audience, what is a typical school day like at Episcopal High School?
Yeah, so a typical school day, classes run Monday to Friday. We don't have Saturday classes. Monday is actually a day where you're going to meet with all of your classes, so it's a day where there are 7 blocks in the schedule. Classes start at 8:15, and most days end right around 3 o'clock. And then the rest of the week, you're going to meet with your class 2 more times. So on Tuesday and Thursday, 3 of the 7 blocks meet. On Wednesday and Friday, the other 4 blocks meet. And classes are longer Tuesday to Friday. They're 75-minute classes. So students are, as I mentioned, taking typically 6 classes, but they may take 5 or 7. And then interspersed throughout the day are a lot of community moments. Being an all-boarding school, we recognize the importance of community, and we're intentional about how often we're together as a community. So on Monday, we have a family-style lunch together where we sit typically with our advisory group. We also have a chapel service on Monday morning that's a 15 to 20-minute service. On Tuesday, we have our advisory meeting. So each faculty member has about 6 or 7 students in their advisory group, and we have an agenda that we run through on Tuesday mornings for 30 minutes. Wednesday, today's a Wednesday, so tonight we'll have a family-style dinner and a chapel service. And then on Thursday, we have community meeting. On Friday, we have chapel again. So chapel's 3 times a week, 2 family-style meals, and community meeting once a week. And then in the evening, late afternoon, students will have a little bit of a break before their afternoon options, which run from 4 to 6. 6 to 8, students have a little bit of free time. And then, like most boarding schools, they're in study hall from 8 to 10. Looks a little bit different for every grade. Our 9th and new 10th graders, or all of our 10th graders, are involved in study hall, which is either in a classroom or on dorm, depending on the time of the year. And then juniors and seniors have a little bit more flexibility in terms of where they're doing study hall. So whether that's going to a classroom, going to the library. And then at 10 o'clock, everybody's on dorm. Weekends at Episcopal, there's, as I mentioned, there's no classes, but there's a lot of activities on Friday evening, Saturday, and Sunday, both on and off campus. So, and being all boarding, there's usually a lot of students that are here, so there's always kind of a good energy on campus and a lot of things to do.
And what are some of those activities you might be able to sign up for on the weekends?
Yeah, so some of them are going to be, you may have an athletic contest that you're involved with. We have several dances over the course of the year. So in a few weeks, we'll have what we call our finals dance, which is our big version of the prom, which is open to all of the students. It's not just the junior, senior prom, but all the freshmen and sophomores will go as well. We'll have an array of activities on campus. So those could range from coffee houses where student musicians perform. I think next week we have a hypnotist coming to campus, which is always a big hit. And so there's various options like that on campus. And then off campus, because of our location, we're able to take kids to cultural events in DC, to a lot of the local sporting events, so college and professional. We visit the Kennedy Center quite a bit with our students. So there's a lot of different things that students can choose from. The nice thing is it's all included in the tuition too. So if a student is going to a performance at the Kennedy Center, they just sign up. They are chaperoned by our teachers. They go to the Kennedy Center and watch the performance, and then they catch a bus back to campus. So it's really, they have a lot of opportunities that don't exist elsewhere.
Nice. Lots of fun activities.
Yes.
So, Scott, you mentioned earlier the meals. Can you go into a little more detail in regards to the meals? Are they served sit down, are they buffet, are they required? How's that work?
Yeah, so the meals, so the two that are required and where we're sitting as a family, kind of style meal are Monday for lunch and Wednesday for dinner. The rest of the meals are buffet style. So during the week, you're going to have breakfast, which runs from about 7 to 8:15, Monday through Friday, buffet lunch, and then buffet dinner, which runs from about 5:45 to 7:15. And then the weekends, there's not a breakfast, but there's a brunch that runs from 10 to 12 on Saturday and Sunday, and then dinner's provided in the dining hall as well. And then we have a grill on campus in our student center, so that's open in the evenings and on weekends as well. So if students don't, want to get a break from the dining hall, they can use the grill. And they also have access to what we call the center, which is right across the street from campus. Students can access that on Tuesday afternoons and then also on the weekends. And there's a McDonald's and a Starbucks and a few restaurants over there. And so that they'll, often get off campus on the weekends too.
Nice. And how about dorm life? What's dorm life like at Episcopal High School?
Yeah, I think we benefit from being fully residential with all of the students and about 90% of the faculty living here. And so our freshman dorms, we call it the freshman village, but our freshman girls and boys are all in one building. They're separate dorms. And this is the first year that we've done that. And the purpose was to kind of build the class bonds and to get those students to get to know each other a little bit better, and it's helped with our programming as well. So there's freshman dorms, and then there's 4 upper class boys dorms and 4 upper class girls dorms, and that's going to be a mix of 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. And so we don't have sophomore dorms or junior dorms. We kind of spread out the students equally amongst the dorms. And so that's, a lot of the life lessons that students are learning here are happening on dorm, kind of the independence, having a roommate, working through conflicts at times. And the dorms have kitchens as well. So that's been, a lot of the students are cooking meals on dorm or baking brownies or cakes or things like that. The dorm parents are also a real part of that experience. So every dorm has at least 2 to 4 adults that live on the dorm, and then a group of 5 or 6 other adults that serve on the dorm team. So the connections that we make as faculty with students are really enriched by the dorm experience as well.
I know you referenced it earlier. You mentioned about as far as the students eating with their advisor, and of course you also have the dormitory house parents. Can you share with our audience how the advisor system works at Episcopal High School?
Yeah, so in many ways it works similarly to the dorms. So the 9th grade advisories they're all 9th grade advisories. So there's going to be 9th grade boys and 9th grade girls. And those advisors are really specialists in working with the 9th graders as they're transitioning to boarding school and the academic environment at Episcopal. So those interactions are a little bit more intentional, a little more guided, a little more structured than it might be for the 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. So the students would have their advisor for the 9th grade, and then they get to choose who they want their advisor to be for the next 3 years or 2 years, depending on when they enter Episcopal. But and that they stay with that advisor for until they graduate. And that's going to be a mix of grades. For example, I have 4 boys and 4 girls in our advisory. We have 1 senior, 4 juniors, and 3 sophomores. And so we meet, we're together 6 to 8 times a week, depending on the week. So those family style meals we're eating together. We sit together in chapel, which is, not a formal time to check in, but it's an informal time that just kind of get a sense of, well, how'd your game go the other day? Or I know you went home for the weekend. How was that? And so those check-ins can be really helpful to gauge just how the students are doing. We also sit together in community meeting, and then we also have that Tuesday morning advisory block where we are talking about various things that are given to us by our dean of students who lays out an agenda. A lot of them are just logistical things, making sure kids fill out leave forms for a weekend or a break, or sometimes for example, we have our leadership process coming up where students will apply for leadership positions. So this past Tuesday, we talked about what that process looks like and encouraging advisees to apply for leadership positions. So, and we also get a budget for our advisories, so we'll take them to meals. We went to a hibachi steakhouse
Nice.
a few months ago, and we'll get birthday cakes and ice cream and things like that as well. So it really becomes your family away from home.
And with so many times you're connecting throughout the week, I imagine that the relationship's not only strong between the advisor and the students, but also among the students themselves. There's probably some really nice bonds that are being formed there.
It is, yeah. They're commonly referred to each other as their advisory brother or sister.
Yeah, very nice. So, Scott, would you say, is there a typical Episcopal high school student?
Yeah, that's a good question. And the way I answer it, there's, as we're looking at the admissions process, there's three things that we're looking for in an individual. And the first thing I always mention is character, and wanting, students in our school who are going to be good kids. And so that's really the first thing that we're looking for. Kind, welcoming. I think our students would, when you visit Episcopal, I think our students are going to hold doors. They're going to say hello when they walk by you in the hallways or, on the sidewalk. So character is certainly a big piece of that, being a good kid. Academically, students who have demonstrated success in the classroom at their prior school, who our teachers are going to enjoy, having in the classroom. They're going to be engaged and enthusiastic about learning. It doesn't mean they have to be straight A students. We understand, students may work hard, but sometimes they work hard to get those Bs. So, and that's, I think we'd prefer to have the student who works really hard to get those Bs than the student who's an A student who, just might not put in the effort. And so just those students who, are curious academically. And then lastly, students who are going to engage in the extracurricular life of the school. So we ask a lot out of our students extracurricularly. So kids who are participating in athletics and the arts and other opportunities that we offer. And it could mean that they're excellent at one of them, and that's great, or they just are contributors in different areas. But and then, so those are kind of the individual characteristics, and then we try to put the whole school together in terms of diversity and having students from all different backgrounds and talents, and so we kind of look at that as well, because as I say, it's not going to help our school as the lacrosse coach if we have all lacrosse players from the same city. Yeah.
So true. So are there any cool traditions at Episcopal High School that are maybe unique from other schools, or perhaps there's that one tradition that you always hope remains part of Episcopal High School?
Yeah, great question. So there's a couple I'll reference. One is the honor code at Episcopal, which is one of the oldest honor codes in the U.S. And it's something that's taught to the students that the first day that they arrive on campus. But there's 4 points of the honor code. I will not lie, will not cheat, will not steal. And the fourth point being I'll report the student that I see doing one of those things. And so we have a group of students who serve on the honor committee. And so honor is certainly something that's been a tradition at EHS for a long time. And I think our students and faculty take a lot of pride in what that means in terms of the culture and the ethos of just academic integrity at EHS. And then athletically, we've got a couple big traditions for our girls who compete in what we call the Seminary Hill Cup, which is a one-day competition against St. Stephen's and St. Agnes, which is our rival school, pretty much right across the street. So it's a one-day event where all 10 of our girls' athletic teams, JV and varsity, compete against each other. And the whole school will attend that. That's about 15 years old, and it's really become a strong tradition for our girl athletes. Our boys have our annual rivalry football game against Woodbury Forest, which is probably going to draw 5,000 to 6,000 people for that game, and it's Spirit Week leading up to that. So those are big traditions. And the other ones for me, I love some of our chapel services. There's a Thanksgiving themed chapel service where members of the the community have an opportunity to give thanks to another member of the community in a chapel format. And so that's always a powerful evening. And then our lessons and carols service right before students depart for the Christmas holidays. So those are some of the traditions that I think make Episcopal special.
It's nice too, because you referenced some traditions that have been around for a long time, and then others, like you mentioned, started 15 years ago. It's really nice.
Yeah, yep.
So, Scott, before we speak about the admissions process, is there anything about Episcopal High that we did not discuss today that you'd like to mention?
No, I think I've covered a lot of it. Just reiterating the things that make Episcopal unique are being the all boarding community, and how we leverage DC, both through our academic programming, but also in the opportunities that students have on the weekends.
Great. So if someone's interested in Episcopal High School, how might they go about starting the admissions process?
Yeah, I think the best thing to do is to go on our website, watch some of the videos, read through, what some of the, what we offer in terms of curriculum and extracurricular options, and then to submit an inquiry. And by submitting an inquiry, that means a student will get into our system and start receiving information. They'll hear from one of our admissions officers who will offer to reach out and answer any questions. And then if they're in their application year, then we would encourage the next step to be visiting campus and getting a campus tour with one of our students, which takes about 45 minutes to an hour, and then meeting with one of our admissions officers and doing an interview if it's in your application year. Otherwise, it could just be a conversation with the admissions officer. But those are really the first steps in getting a sense of the culture here and what we're all about, and seeing if Episcopal is a potential fit.
And Scott, what is the school's website address?
It's episcopalhighschool.org.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So www.episcopalhighschool.org. Well, Scott, this is great. I've enjoyed our conversation, learning more about Episcopal High School and sharing with our audience today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jeffrey. I appreciate the opportunity.
Scott Conklin, Director of Admissions, Episcopal High School, Alexandria, Virginia.
Thank you for listening to the Why Boarding School podcast. We look forward to you joining us for our next episode. Please remember to subscribe to the Why Boarding School podcast and help us spread the word. Until next time.